Chapter 1. After 6 years of dating and discussing marriage, Lucas suddenly told me to wait. He said he had to hold a grand wedding with his first love before he could marry me, because it was the dying wish of her terminally ill mother. He couldn't bear to let the old woman pass away with regrets, so he tearfully promised at her hospital bedside that he would give her daughter a home. But he forgot that my mother, too, had been waiting for me to get married for a long time. Stunned, I asked him, "What about me?" He snapped impatiently, "Can't you have some empathy? It's just 2 more months, are you that desperate to get married?" I told him my mom had a heart condition and couldn't take any emotional shock. But right in front of me, he booked a marriage registration with her. Anyway, this time the bride has to be Oriana. Even if your mom really dies from waiting, she'll just have to hold on until I marry you. Watching his heartless back as he left, I picked up the phone and called home. "Brother, for the wedding in 10 days, help me change the groom." My brother was shocked when he heard I wanted to change the groom. "What happened between you and Lucas? Marriage isn't child's play, Mom can't take that kind of shock." Precisely because I knew she couldn't, I had to find a way through my brother. Fortunately, even though Lucas and I had been together for 6 years, he'd never agreed to meet my parents. My mom only knew I had a boyfriend, never who he was. "Brother, I'm serious. I can't marry him. I didn't want to commit bigamy. I thought my brother would scold me for being immature. But instead, after a pause, he comforted me. I told you to be careful back when he was secretly seeing you behind my back. If it weren't for how crazy you were about him, I wouldn't even acknowledge him as a brother. This might be for the best. In fact, before Mom and Dad even knew you were dating, they'd already picked out a match for you, a guy who looks like he's lost his soul every time he sees you. He's been waiting for you to break up. Just a few days ago, he even joked that if your husband isn't as good as him, he'd crash the wedding and take you away." When my brother mentioned him, I instantly remembered my parents had brought him up before. But at the time, I'd already been secretly dating Lucas for 2 years. I was head over heels for Lucas. How could I have agreed to a blind arranged marriage with a total stranger? Lucas, upon hearing me hang up that day, had thrown a jealous tantrum and kissed me roughly to assert his dominance. "Roxana, in this life, you'll never marry anyone but me." With teary eyes, he begged me to grow old with him and even took the initiative to confess to my brother that we'd already pledged ourselves to each other. He let my brother call him a shameless bastard who took advantage of someone close, repeatedly promising he'd love me more than my brother ever could. When my brother asked if he'd truly let go of that girl, Lucas got on his knees and swore to the heavens that he'd only ever love me. His lifetime sure ended quickly. The wedding is in 10 days, and time is tight. I cut my brother off. Then let that guy be my groom. No need for all that drama about crashing a wedding. Just as I finished speaking, Lucas, back to grab his ID, froze at the doorway. "Crashing the wedding? Who's crashing the wedding?" He looked at me like I was a threat to national security. "Roxana, I told you I'll marry you, and I will. If you still want to marry me, don't pull any stunts. If you dare ruin my wedding with Oriana, don't blame me for cutting you off." I hadn't even said a word, and he'd already cast me as the villain. Wasn't turning his back on me the moment he decided to marry Oriana already cutting me off? Every year for the past 6 years, on my birthday, he'd promise we'd marry the next year. But every next year, he'd have a new excuse to avoid meeting my parents or setting a date. Chapter 2. Excuses like, I was still young, and he didn't want me tied down too early, or he wanted to start a business first, to give me a better life and make my family feel more secure. Every excuse was for my own good. I believed him, and kept defending him to my brother, who'd long wanted to beat him up. After 6 years, even my friends laughed, saying if we didn't marry soon, we'd hit the 7-year itch. Only then did he finally propose. The date was set, the wedding planned, but he still refused to meet my parents. He said he wanted to surprise them on the wedding day. Then suddenly, Oriana returned with her terminally ill mother. That's when I realized I'd been a joke all along. I gave a bitter laugh and helped Lucas get his ID from the drawer. "Relax. I have no interest in marrying a second-hand groom." The word second-hand seemed to sting Lucas. He frowned and said, "How many times do I have to explain? That wedding is just a sham. After it's done, I'll be completely yours. What more do you want?" I get it. Go register your marriage. If you're going to put on a show, might as well do it thoroughly. My calm sincerity made his hand tremble as he took the ID. A bit flustered, he added, I'm not actually registering with Oriana, it's just for show. You need your ID to put on a show? I just gave a nonchalant "oh," and Lucas looked visibly rattled by my unusual calm. He stepped closer to kiss me, probably trying to smooth things over, but before he could, Oriana burst in from behind the wall where she'd been eavesdropping and wedged herself between us. Her movement was forceful, and she subtly pushed me back with a hidden bit of force. I stumbled and fell to the ground, while she dramatically fell into Lucas's arms. Lucas reacted quickly, catching her. The two of them ended up on the floor, bodies tangled together. I coldly watched as Oriana, sitting on top of Lucas, blushed and whispered just loud enough for me to hear. Lucas, your abs are still as hard as they were back then. Lucas gave an awkward cough, but his hands were still on her waist. Oriana gave Lucas a shy, flirtatious glance, then looked at me with tears in her eyes and apologized sweetly. Roxana, I'm sorry. You can hit me, scold me, whatever you want, just don't take it out on Lucas. If he got hurt, disgusted by the sight of the two still entangled, I stood up and walked toward the door. If he's hurt, you can check him yourself. Should I close the door for you? That made Lucas's lust-darkened face twitch, unclear from frustration or shame. Roxana, how can you be so vulgar? I'm vulgar? It hadn't even been 30 seconds and he was already rubbing up on Oriana. Who's the vulgar one here? I kindly closed the door behind them, while waiting for the elevator. Oriana came out, still flushed, lips suspiciously moist, and blocked me. Roxana, I'm sorry. Don't misunderstand what happened between me and Lucas. It was truly an accident. If my mom didn't insist on seeing a marriage certificate, I wouldn't have troubled Lucas at all. Please, don't cause a scene at the wedding. I beg you, it's just a daughter's filial duty. When the time comes, I'll divorce Lucas and return him to you. As she spoke, she even tried to kneel down and beg me. Lucas, now looking perfectly unbothered, rushed over to pull her into his arms and glared at me. Roxana, I'm warning you, don't take things too far. Don't make a mess you can't clean up. From today until the wedding is over, you stay home and behave. I'll get someone to watch you. Chapter 3. As he spoke, he called his secretary and ordered someone to come watch me, to prevent any drama. Then, glancing at the time, he hurried off to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Oriana in tow. Before the elevator doors closed, I caught the smug triumph in Oriana's eyes, her unspoken challenge, and Lucas's question rang in my ears. Oriana, did you bring your ID? This wasn't a performance for Oriana's mother, it was clearly a show meant for me. Before the bodyguards arrived, I rushed to the bridal shop to retrieve my wedding dress. It was a custom-made gown I had ordered from Italy, just to marry Lucas, but I had lost some weight recently, and a few areas still needed adjustment. To my surprise, the shop owner looked confused and said, Miss Sue, your boyfriend already picked up the dress a few days ago. He even brought a girl along to try it on for you. I wasn't in the shop at the time. Seeing my expression darken, the owner quickly pulled up the surveillance footage. In the footage, Oriana wore my wedding gown, walking slowly toward a visibly stunned Lucas. Lucas, do I look beautiful? Lucas smiled a way I had never seen before. Beautiful, more than in my dreams. Lucas, pinch me. I want to know if this is real. For so many years, I could only marry you in my dreams. As she said this, tears streamed down her face. Lucas leaned forward tenderly, kissing every tear away. Silly girl, thank goodness you came back in time. Otherwise, I'd have married someone else. The shop owner, watching the scene of them passionately kissing, offered me an awkward apology. I'm so sorry, Miss Sue. This was a mistake on our part. I'll come up with a reason and get your dress back. Everyone could see it. I'd been cheated on and had my wedding dress stolen. The owner, unable to contain her fury, made a call immediately. As soon as she spoke, Lucas's voice roared through the phone. Did Roxana ask you to get the dress back? Tell her, after Oriana's done with it, it'll be returned. No one's trying to take anything from her. I hadn't expected Lucas to be so shameless. I didn't even want him anymore. Why would I want a wedding dress that Oriana had already worn? watching the call end in a cold beep. The owner embarrassedly offered compensation, but I knew exactly who to blame. I sent Lucas a screenshot of the original wedding dress order. He immediately called me. "Roxana, what's your deal? We just borrowed the dress, now you want money for it? I made it more valuable by letting it be worn again. You should be thanking me." But when Oriana chimed in that she wanted to keep the dress as a memento, Lucas quickly hung up and transferred the money. "When we get married, just rent a dress. Don't waste money." 6 years of love, and it was only now that I realized I might never have truly known Lucas at all. I looked at his shared location at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I thought it would break my heart, but in truth, I felt nothing. Just as I turned off the shared location in our couple's app, Secretary Ning arrived with 2 bodyguards. "Miss Sue, as long as you don't make trouble, we won't interfere with your movements." The once warm Secretary Ning now looked at me with open contempt. Though he spoke politely, I couldn't be bothered with a spineless opportunist like him. After submitting my resignation at work, I drove home, but at the garage, the automated gate no longer recognized my car. The security guard checked and told me that the parking spot had been reassigned to a different vehicle. Chapter 4. After rescanning the code to enter the garage, I saw a new car parked in my spot. It was the car Lucas had promised to gift me 2 months ago. But the person getting out of it was Oriana. She saw me immediately but pretended not to, deliberately waving a bright red marriage certificate in front of Lucas. "Lucas, tomorrow morning when the Civil Affairs Bureau opens, I'll go with you to file for divorce. That way we won't delay your marriage to Roxana." The only thing redder than that certificate were Oriana's eyes. Lucas ruffled her hair affectionately and coaxed. "Silly girl, just wait a little longer. Roxana won't marry anyone but me, even if she has to wait 3 or 5 more years. She'll gladly do it." Watching their backs as they walked home hand in hand, I booked a hotel for myself. Feeling stifled, I went for my usual run in the nearby park. After just 1 lap, I ran into Lucas and Oriana walking hand in hand. He, who had never once enjoyed night runs. Oriana clung to Lucas like a fragile bird, whispering sweet nothings. I had no interest in listening to their love story. I put on my headphones and jogged the other way, unaware that I was being followed. When a hand suddenly covered my mouth and I was dragged into a car, I struggled with all my strength. But the attacker wouldn't let go. In the reflection of the car window, I saw a face that looked strikingly similar to Oriana's. "If you want to steal my daughter's man, you deserve to die." I waved desperately at Secretary Ning in the distance, but he acted like he didn't see me. He answered a phone call and then left with the 2 bodyguards. The woman who attacked me had terrifying strength. She didn't seem like someone with a terminal illness and only days to live. When I woke up again, my entire body was weak, and Oriana's mother was lying in a pool of blood, her face pale. Before I could make sense of it all, Lucas burst in with several people. Kicking the door open, Oriana screamed when she saw her mother's condition. "Mom, what's wrong? Please don't scare me." She cradled her mother tightly, then shrieked at me. "Roxana, what did I ever do to you to deserve this? How could you be so cruel to my mom?" She barely had any days left. Lucas, who had hemophobia, could barely look at the blood, but that didn't stop him from calling an ambulance while kicking me viciously in the chest. "Roxana, you've truly disappointed me." As he prepared to call the police, Oriana grabbed his arm, sobbing uncontrollably. "Lucas, forget it. This is all my fault. I shouldn't have asked you for help. I just want Mom to be safe." Lucas, furious, turned on Secretary Ning. "Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on her and stop her from doing anything?" The 3 men who had vanished during my assault all responded in unison. "President Liu, Miss Sue drove too fast. We couldn't keep up." Before dating Lucas, I'd had a passion for racing, so Lucas didn't doubt them at all. Swallowing the blood rising in my throat, I watched Lucas crouch down to comfort Oriana, who was nearly fainting. "Oriana, she'll be okay. Heaven protects good people." The woman on the floor, supposedly unconscious, had her lashes fluttering, but she didn't dare open her eyes. I stared coldly and said, "Stop acting like she's dead. If you keep mourning, she won't be able to keep up the act." Oriana picked up the bloodstained knife from the floor and charged at me. "Roxana, isn't it enough that I'm giving Lucas back to you? Why did you hurt my mom and then slander her?" Do you have no conscience? Lucas snatched the knife from her and wrapped his arms tightly around her trembling body. Chapter 5. Oriana turned to Lucas in disbelief and asked, Lucas, she hurt my mom, her life's still in danger, and you're still protecting her? Her voice was shrill, each word soaked in anguish. If I weren't the victim being falsely accused, even I might have believed the person who hurt her mother was beyond redemption. But what shocked me more was that Lucas was protecting me. Under my confused gaze, he gently wiped the blood from Oriana's hands and said quietly, I just didn't want your hands to be stained. Then he pushed Oriana aside and slowly walked toward me, his emotionless eyes fixed on me, sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to run, but I couldn't even move. Lucas, I didn't hurt her. Her mother kidnapped me and staged this whole thing. If you don't believe me, you can. His response was to plunge a knife into the back of my hand. The sharp pain caused me to choke on the blood I had just forced down. This time, I couldn't help but vomit it out, covered in my blood. Lucas looked like a demon risen from hell, yet still whispered, Why didn't you dodge? How could I dodge? I was drugged, limp, lying there powerless. The difference between being loved and unloved couldn't be more obvious. Once, if I so much as hesitated to get out of bed, Lucas would panic and insist on taking me to the hospital for a full checkup. But now he couldn't even see my struggling, couldn't see the bruises on my neck. Just to vent for Oriana, he had stabbed my hand. Roxana, don't blame me. This is your punishment. I hope you'll learn your lesson. Without any verification, he had already convicted me as the kind of vicious woman who would hurt someone just to steal their man. The ambulance soon arrived, but I was left in the corner, forgotten, knife still embedded in my hand. A kind stranger took me to the hospital. When I regained consciousness, I called the police. Lucas, who had been hiding until now, finally showed up in my hospital room only to demand I withdraw the report. Roxana, what are you doing? The evidence and witnesses all point to you. Are you insane? Cancel the report now, or I'll never marry someone with a criminal record. I didn't even lift my eyes, only replied faintly, Okay. Satisfied, he left without a single word of concern. The day I was discharged, I returned home to pack my things, only to find that the door, decorated with a big red wedding emblem, had a new passcode. I called a locksmith, quickly packed my bags, and headed to the airport. I had a wedding to catch. As the plane touched down, I received calls from the police and my lawyer updating me on the case. Looking at the mountain of evidence, I sent Lucas a text. Happy wedding day. He glanced nervously at the entrance of the wedding venue and ordered Secretary Ning, Make sure the entrances and exits are secured. Roxana must not show up to cause a scene. Ning, staring at the breaking news headline on his phone, patted his chest and assured, Don't worry, President Liu. She's busy getting married herself right now. She won't cause any trouble. I had delegated full authority over the kidnapping and assault case to my lawyer. Lucas had tried to use the wedding as leverage to pressure me into dropping the charges. He probably never imagined that the ever-obedient me would pretend to comply, while secretly setting everything in motion. My lawyer informed me, Oriana's mother was not terminally ill. Her medical records were fake, purchased online. Even the blood on the floor wasn't human blood. She had done it all just to make Lucas disgusted with me, to push him fully into Oriana's arms. Chapter 6. She thought she understood human nature, that once I was taught a lesson and abandoned by the man I loved, I would give up and quietly disappear. Ironically, we ended up in the same hospital. As I passed the fire escape, I overheard Oriana asking Lucas anxiously, Lucas, you shouldn't have stabbed Roxana for me. What if she reports you to the police? Lucas replied casually, Roxana loves me. She'd give her life for me. Why would she ever report me? Unless she's gone crazy. Even if she did report it, I've got plenty of ways to make her withdraw. Stop worrying and take good care of Mom. She has to attend the wedding. I still need to serve her tea. A few sweet words from Lucas, and Oriana was giggling like a schoolgirl. Lucas, you're too good to me. I don't even know how to repay you. As their breathy flirting echoed down the corridor, I pressed stop on the recording app on my phone and walked away. At the airport, my brother's loud voice snapped me out of the memory. He ran over, thrilled. My precious sister, you're finally back. If you were a minute later, Kevin was about to fly a helicopter to see City to crash the wedding. Kevin, the very one my brother was referring to, naturally took over my suitcase and grinned. Roxana, I've come to pick up my bride. The fresh boutonniere on his chest was eye-catching. Combined with his declaration, we attracted curious looks from the crowd. After all, it's not every day you see a groom pick up his bride at the airport, and a bride in light makeup and travel clothes? Even rarer. Feeling a little self-conscious under the stairs, I tugged the brim of my hat lower, but the smiles on Kevin and my brother's faces froze the moment they saw the bandage on the back of my hand. What happened to your hand? Not wanting to worry them, I made up an excuse, but my brother didn't buy it. I just heard you on the phone with your lawyer. Was it that bastard Lucas? Did he hurt you? His dislike for Lucas had only grown since Lucas stole the cabbage from his field. I glanced at Kevin and gave my brother a subtle look. Don't worry about it. We've got a wedding to hold. If we delay any longer, Mom will start worrying again. Grudgingly swallowing his anger, my brother brought me to the airport medical room. When the doctor removed the bandage, the red, swollen wound on the back of my hand was exposed. The doctor gasped. How did this happen? If it had gone a little deeper, it would have pierced right through. My brother and Kevin exchanged looks, then insisted on taking me to the hospital. I used our mom's fragile health as an excuse to calm them down. On the way to the hotel in the flower car, everything still felt surreal. Kevin sat beside me, his gaze never leaving my injured hand. In his eyes, I saw a storm of emotions I couldn't decipher: anger, regret, pain. Roxana, if only I'd met you earlier. No, the moment I fell for you, I should have taken you from him. Kevin's sudden outburst caught me off guard. Pointing to my hand, he added, whatever pain he caused you, I'll make him pay back 1,000-fold. The conviction in his voice made me realize I couldn't hide anything anymore. I'm sorry. I should have come back 2 days ago. Something unexpected happened, and I made you worry. But I wouldn't let Lucas off so easily for what he did. Right now, his wedding must be in full swing. I hope he enjoys the little wedding gift I've sent him. Chapter 7. Oriana turned to Lucas in disbelief and cried out. Lucas, she hurt my mom, her life is hanging by a thread, and you're still protecting her? Her voice was piercing, every word dripping with grief and rage. If I hadn't been the victim of a false accusation, I might have believed her too. I might have thought the person who hurt her mother was heartless beyond redemption. But what shocked me even more was that Lucas did seem to be protecting me. As I stared at him in confusion, he gently wiped the blood from Oriana's hands and said quietly, I just didn't want your hands to get dirty. Then he pushed Oriana away and walked slowly toward me. His eyes, cold and devoid of emotion, locked onto mine, and I couldn't help but shiver. My instincts told me to run, but I couldn't even move. Lucas, I didn't hurt her mom. She kidnapped me and staged the whole thing herself. If you don't believe me, you can. Before I could finish, he slammed the dagger straight into the back of my hand. The pain forced up the blood I had just managed to suppress, and I vomited it out uncontrollably. Lucas, splattered with my blood, looked like a grim reaper from hell, yet he still whispered, Why didn't you dodge? He had stabbed swiftly and accurately. I was drugged and too weak to move. How could I dodge? A man's love, or lack thereof, is always obvious. Once upon a time, if I so much as slept in late, he'd panic and rush me to the hospital for a full checkup, worried I might be sick. Now, he couldn't see the bruises on my neck from being strangled, couldn't see my powerless struggle, just to defend Oriana. He stabbed me. Roxana, don't blame me. This is your punishment. I hope you learn from it. He didn't even bother verifying anything. To him, I was the kind of heartless woman who'd hurt someone just to steal a man. The ambulance arrived soon after, but I was left in the corner, forgotten. The knife still in my hand, a kind passerby took me to the hospital. When I regained consciousness, I chose to call the police. Lucas, who had been hiding all this time, finally showed up in my hospital room. His first words were a demand. Roxana, what are you doing? All the evidence and witnesses point to you. Are you insane? Cancel the report. There's no way I'm marrying someone with a criminal record. I didn't even lift my eyelids. I simply said, okay. Satisfied, he left, without a single word of concern. The day I was discharged, I returned home to pack, but the front door, now decorated with a big red double happiness symbol, had a changed passcode. I hired a locksmith, grabbed my things, and rushed to the airport. I couldn't miss my wedding. When the plane landed, the police and my lawyer updated me on the latest progress in the case. Looking at the damning evidence, I sent Lucas a simple text, "Happy wedding day." Lucas glanced nervously at the venue entrance and told Secretary Ning, "Keep a close eye on all entrances and exits. Roxana must not cause trouble." Secretary Ning, reading the breaking headlines, confidently patted his chest. "Don't worry, President Liu. She's busy getting married herself. She won't show up." At the hotel, my brother went to deal with our parents while Kevin took me to get my makeup done. I didn't want Mom to see my injuries and get upset, not on such a happy day. As the makeup artist applied foundation, she chatted casually, "Miss Sue, you're such a lucky bride. I heard the Gu family spent a long time preparing this wedding, just to give you a spectacular memory." Chapter 8. I looked at the gown I was wearing, more stunning than the one I had custom ordered, and wondered if Kevin really had been preparing to crash the wedding all along. He knocked on the door and handed in a pair of elegant bridal gloves. Further confirming my suspicion, his eyes lit up as they landed on me. "Roxana, wear these gloves. That way your mom won't notice the injury." His thoughtfulness warmed my heart. Everything ready. I walked down the aisle to the sound of romantic wedding music, step by step toward Kevin. When the officiant asked if I was willing to marry Kevin, I smiled brightly and said, "I do. All my life." The only time I ever disobeyed my parents was falling in love with Lucas. I always thought, being raised by such wise and discerning parents, my taste in men couldn't possibly be that bad. But the harsh truth proved I had terrible judgment. 6 years of loyal love, and all I got in return was betrayal, heartbreak, and physical wounds. I had always loved beauty, never imagined I'd be injured like this. The doctor said even after my hand healed, it would likely leave a scar. I accepted it. It was the price of my stubbornness, of ignoring my family's warnings and choosing Lucas anyway. My parents' opinion of him had soured ever since he kept refusing to meet them. Meanwhile, Kevin had done everything he could to earn their favor, playing chess with Dad, chatting with Mom, even when I never responded to his feelings. He always kept a respectful distance, never putting me in a tough spot. Love is shown in the details, and this wedding, so meticulously prepared, showed me Kevin's sincerity. When we exchanged rings, Kevin looked at me with such tenderness, his eyes reflecting only me. A man who has eyes only for me, that's the kind of person I should spend the rest of my life with. Even if there's no love, yet, I trust my parents' judgment. Because of my injured hand, Kevin canceled some of the planned games, but the grandeur of this wedding still rivaled Lucas's. When everything was over, my parents didn't question why I had changed grooms last minute. They simply hugged me tight and sent me off to the new home Kevin had prepared. As soon as they left, Kevin couldn't wait to take me to the hospital. The doctor gave me a full re-examination and laid out several scar treatment options. Kevin's brows were furrowed the whole time, fists clenched, and when my brother arrived, having just dropped off our parents, his face was a storm cloud of fury. I smiled and gently smoothed both of their furrowed brows. "All right. Didn't the doctor say they'll try their best to treat the scar? Everyone has some scars, it's not even on my face. Can you both stop looking so miserable?" I spoke lightly because I didn't want them to worry. But my brother had already found out the truth. After all, Lucas's wedding had descended into unexpected chaos. So Lucas, in a panic, had been frantically calling me. I didn't answer a single call, unable to reach me. He turned to my brother, his last hope. Seeing his name on the caller ID, my brother shot up and exploded into the phone. "Lucas, you bastard! Who gave you the damn right to stab my sister? I'm warning you. If you don't give me an explanation, I swear I'll make you pay." Chapter 9. Beside me, Kevin let out a low chuckle and muttered something so faint I almost didn't catch it. "Humph. Blood must be paid with blood, he doesn't need a chance to explain." Startled, I turned sharply to look at him, but his lips were tightly pursed. Same as before, the only difference was his eyes, they were narrowed. He looked like a predator locking eyes on prey, ready to strike. "Kevin, what did you just say?" Worried he might do something reckless for me, I tried to check his intentions, but he just curved his eyes in a smile. Wife. I said you look beautiful today. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at him. My brother, after giving Lucas a full verbal beatdown, still wasn't satisfied and started shouting about flying to Sea City himself. Before I could stop him, Kevin pulled him aside for a brief chat. Miraculously, my furious brother calmed down. He was the first person besides me and our parents who could tame my hot-tempered brother. In that moment, I felt an odd sense of familiarity with Kevin, a feeling like he truly belonged to our family. After carefully consulting the doctor on post-op care and dietary precautions, Kevin finally brought me home. On the way, I couldn't help asking how he had managed to soothe my brother. He just smiled mysteriously and said nothing. For some reason, I lit a metaphorical candle for Lucas in my mind. After all, I'd already made sure he had a rough day. While I was walking down the aisle, Lucas should have been doing the same at his wedding. But because of the injury he gave me, and Oriana's mother's involvement in the kidnapping, the police showed up at their ceremony with arrest warrants in hand. Oriana, dressed in my wedding gown, screamed hysterically at the officers. What are you talking about? My mother is weak as a kitten. How could she possibly kidnap Roxana? How much did she pay you to humiliate my mom like this? As for Lucas stabbing Roxana, that was self-defense. She tried to kill my mom. Why are you arresting us? Go arrest her. While she was ranting nonsense, a hotel staff member, one I had bribed, played the full set of evidence on a projector. Even Lucas and Oriana's fire escape conversation was included. The fake medical records from the internet tore Oriana's mother's illness lie to shreds. As the situation collapsed, Oriana lost it and started trying to smash the projector to block the footage. But it was too late. The evidence was out in the open for all to see. For the past 6 years, even though Lucas never brought me to meet his parents, all our mutual friends knew I was his real girlfriend. They had already been puzzled about the bride switch. Oriana and her mother kept denying everything, claiming it was all a fabrication to slander them. But in the midst of all the chaos and murmuring, Lucas slowly came to his senses. He slapped Oriana across the face with disbelief. It's all true, isn't it? Oriana, who had just been explaining away his attack on me, froze. Lucas, you hit me? I did all this just to marry you. From the beginning, you agreed. I didn't hold a knife to your neck. But Lucas, eyes red with rage, lunged at her, hands gripping her neck. You bitch! You dared to lie to me. The police had no patience for their drama and quickly dragged them both away. Chapter 10. Oriana screamed behind them, but no one pitied her. In that pristine white wedding gown, she looked like nothing more than a tragic joke. As for my injury, I had a medical assessment done while hospitalized. Technically, it didn't qualify as serious. The doctor said I was lucky not to have damaged tendons or bones. Had the blade shifted even a little, I could have lost function in my right hand. I couldn't swallow that humiliation. Even if I could only put Lucas behind bars for a few days, it would be worth it. He didn't have to love me or marry me, but he couldn't betray me and hurt me too. Kevin felt the same way. So when Lucas came out of detention after 15 days and showed up at my door, he looked like he'd been through hell. Kevin said he'd pissed off the wrong people inside and got properly educated. Lucas glared at Kevin, who was protectively holding me close. But when he turned to me, his face softened with sickening affection that made my stomach churn. Roxana, I know I was wrong, but how could you turn around and marry someone else so quickly? Were you just trying to get revenge on me? Is this all just an act? I raised my hand, the one Kevin was holding tightly. Let me introduce you, this is my husband. As in, legally. I guess you were too busy that day to attend the reception. The flash of our wedding rings made Lucas squint, but then he saw the ugly, red scar on the back of my hand. Roxana, that scar. I'm sorry, I didn't think that stab would hurt you so badly. I was wrong, Roxana. I've filed for divorce from Oriana. I have nothing to do with her anymore. She tricked me into everything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but can't you give me a chance to make it up to you? Let me spend the rest of my life atoning. Honestly, I thought he'd come to scold me for pressing charges. I didn't expect this soap opera apology. It left me stunned. No need for atonement. From now on, you walk your road. I'll walk mine. I pulled Kevin to leave, but Lucas rushed forward to block us. Roxana, are you really just going to marry someone on a whim to get back at me? That's not fair to yourself. I know you still love me. That's the only reason you hate me this much. Just give me time. Once the divorce is finalized, I'll marry you immediately. You like custom wedding gowns, right? I'll commission a master designer to make you a new one. No one else will touch anything that belongs to you, not even me. Looking at this unshaven, ragged man, I was at a loss for words. Whatever you do has nothing to do with me. What I want, my husband will give me. No need to trouble you. As for your second-hand leftovers, please stay far, far away from me. Lucas's face twisted with rage as he heard me call Kevin husband. Roxana, how could you be so heartless? We've been together for 6 years. You gave up on us without a word. Can you really justify that? What about my love for you all these years? I laughed. It was honestly funny. Lucas mistook my laughter as softening. He reached for my injured hand, but before I could slap him, Kevin caught my wrist gently. Then he slapped Lucas twice. Wife, let me handle it. No need to dirty your hands. The familiar words stunned Lucas. His clenched fists slowly loosened. Powerless. Chapter 11. Roxana. I get it now. You're just trying to get back at me. But I promised I'd marry you. Why couldn't you just wait a little longer for me? You knew Oriana's mother was lying. Why didn't you tell me the truth? If I had known, things would never have ended up like this. And I sent Secretary Ning and the others to watch you. If you hadn't sped off and shaken them, how could you have been kidnapped? Even now, he still thought all the blame lay with Oriana and her mother. But the real culprit was him. I looked at him coldly and reminded him, I did tell you. Did you believe me? As for why your secretary lied, maybe go ask him yourself. Lucas froze, trying to recall. Then his expression twisted in pain. He did remember how I had told him Oriana's mother kidnapped me. That she was faking the whole thing. He had ignored it all. Right in front of me, he called Secretary Ning, cornered by Lucas's questioning. Ning stammered on the other end of the line, then finally confessed it was Oriana who had told them to stop watching me. They didn't expect anything bad to happen. Lucas immediately fired Ning and the 2 bodyguards, gripping his hair in anguish. He tried to explain, tried to salvage something, but couldn't get a word out. At last, he kept muttering, why? How did we get here? We loved each other so much. You used to say you'd marry no one but me. He watched me and Kevin walking away, then collapsed to the ground, clutching his head and sobbing uncontrollably. But a man who still didn't understand what he did wrong, he didn't deserve my sympathy. The only thing I felt was bitterness. 6 years of love, of youth, fed to the dogs. I thought Lucas would finally give up, but the next day, he tried to kneel in front of my parents and brother, begging for forgiveness. He knew that I valued my family's opinions most. If my brother hadn't stopped him in time, my mother would have found out that her daughter had nearly lost function in her right hand because of this man. When Kevin and I arrived at my parents for lunch, we saw my brother dragging Lucas by the collar, tossing him beside the garbage bins. Lucas! You couldn't let go of Oriana, and yet you still went after my sister. You chased her, then didn't cherish her, and now you want to act all heartbroken? Save your performance. Lucas dropped to his knees, just like the time he knelt before my brother and swore to love me forever. But this time, no one believed him anymore. He crawled toward me on his knees, crying and begging me to give him another chance. Before I could say a word, a woman with messy hair burst through the security guards. In a blink, she stabbed a knife straight into Lucas's back. Lucas! You heartless bastard. My mom died for us, and you still want a divorce? I'm telling you, with me, it's widowhood or nothing. There's no such thing as divorce. Blood splattered across her face, but she didn't even flinch. Kevin, afraid I'd be frightened, scooped me up in a princess carry and ran for home. My brother, worried our parents would come downstairs and see the bloody scene, also rushed home. Just before the elevator doors closed, I saw Lucas furiously fighting back against Oriana. Later, neighbors told us both of them were taken to the hospital for emergency care. They survived, but Oriana's hand was permanently disabled. She couldn't even hold a bowl anymore. Lucas had been stabbed in the lung and remained in the hospital for over a month. It was only then that I found out Oriana's mother. unable to accept that she'd be imprisoned, took her own life in despair. She left behind a suicide note, begging Lucas to take care of Oriana, but that wish would never be fulfilled. Lucas eventually sued Oriana for intentional injury, and the two officially divorced. My brother, worried that hearing this might upset me, tried to encourage me to let go of the past and cherish my future with Kevin. I laughed and tossed a pillow at him. Yes, sir. My dear housekeeper, now go find yourself a wife and give me a sister-in-law. When Kevin came home from work and saw me and my brother roughhousing like kids, he laughed and jumped in, turning our play into a spirited 2-versus-1 battle.